Hello. Thank you for joining this month's Connect with Control M session. My name is Drew Casas, and I'll be your facilitator for this webinar. Today, we will highlight and demonstrate some of the new features in Control M 921-300. We have three presenters today from the Control M support team: Martin Rabenberg, Jason Magalich, and Trinidad Gaitan. We recommend going to full screen mode during this presentation by pressing the full screen button. Please note that this presentation is available via the Files pod at the bottom of your screen. For any questions you may have during the presentation, please post them in the Q&A pod. We will be addressing your questions at the end of the session. Today, we'll explain the topics you see here regarding an overview and highlight of Control M version 921-300. We'll demonstrate new features added into our Control M web interface like server administration and new viewpoint types and more. Afterwards, we'll take your questions during the Q&A session and give you the opportunity to provide your feedback. For our first demonstration, Martin will take us through and highlight several of the new features included with 921.300. Martin, please go ahead.
Thanks for the introduction. Welcome to the first part of this Connect with Control M. My name is Martin Rabenberg and I am a technical support analyst with BMC. I will walk you through some of the most important changes and new features in Control M 9.0.21.300. These are the Control M Unified View, long-term support for Java version 21, new viewpoint types, public and private. Work has been done to further enhance the web experience. There are some new features in MFT and MFTE, and there are some other new features. In this version, you can now have a unified view of your Helix and on-premise Control M environments. You can now connect self-hosted Control M servers and Control M for ZOS to your Helix Control M. Then you can see and manage your entire Control M environment in a unified view. Please refer to the documentation for details. Starting with version 9.0.21.300, there will be long-term support for Java version 21 for all Control M components. For details on the supported external vendors, please visit support.bmc.com. In this version of Control M, there are new viewpoint types. You can now use the following viewpoint types. There are public viewpoints, and those are viewpoints that are created and managed in Control M client. And these are now available to Control M web users to view jobs. And then there's private viewpoints. These viewpoints are created in Control M web, and these are only available to the user that created it. In addition, you can do the following. You can open public viewpoints with user-defined filters or saved filter presets. And private viewpoints now support all Control M attributes and Boolean operators. There will be a demonstration of this later on in this Connect with Control M. There's an enhanced web experience. The web interface has been updated and improved, and you can now set your preferred language to simplified or traditional Chinese in the planning, monitoring, and configuration domains. You can manage your Control M servers from the web interface, and you can control which hierarchical entities appear in a viewpoint. And the Run As administration is now available on the web, even if the compatibility mode is on. As an example of the enhanced new web experience, this is a screenshot of the new Control M web configuration home. And as you can see, there's a high-level overview here of your servers and agents. Then when you click through to access one of the servers, for instance, you can see the states of its components. And from here, if needed, you can also restart services or manage the server parameters. When you click through to access the services, you access this page. You can see the current state of all your services here. As you can see in this screenshot, you have the Apache Zookeeper with status OK, Apache Kafka with status OK. And for instance, your services Health Monitor, your CTMF Job Info service, and the other services. And you can recycle these from here if needed. There are also new features in Control M Managed File Transfer and Control M Managed File Transfer Enterprise. There's now integration with SharePoint Online for transfers to and from SharePoint. There are some file exchange enhancements. You can now use file search. Administrative notification has been added, as well as new localization options. Also, you can now customize the MFTE login screen with more control. For instance, the position of the login window can be controlled more precisely. There is now integration with the CyberArk password vault, and we expect to add more vault products soon. The MFTE gateway can now run on Windows. Also, Helix MFT in-place upgrade is now supported. Here's an example of how you can now customize the MFT Hub login window. On the left, you can see that the login window obscures part of the background. And you can now choose the position of the login window such that it fits better with the background of your choice. Also, you can choose the background color of the login window. What else is new? Automation API now supports the deployment of duplicate resource names. And there was also a new process for the encryption of backup files. This solution will be demoed later on in this session. Then there's the end of support for the following operating systems. There will be no more support for SUSE Enterprise Server 12, CentOS 7, Red Hat 7, Oracle Linux 7, and Debian 10. That sums up a brief summary of some of the new features and changes in Control-M 9.0.21.300. For more details, please visit support.bmc.com and do not hesitate to open a support case if you have any questions. Thanks for your attention, and back to you, Drew.
Thank you, Martin, for introducing us to these new features. Our next presenter will show us new features and functionality added to Control-M Web. We have Jason, who is going to lead us through this demonstration. Jason, please go ahead.
Thank you for that introduction, Drew. My name is Jason McAlish, and in this demonstration, I'll be going over some of the new features within Control-M Web in version 9.0.21.300. In the Control-M Web configuration area, you can now troubleshoot, manage, and monitor Control-M servers and their databases, services, agents, and gateways as described in the Control-M server management documentation. You will also notice that the Run as Administration area has been moved from the CCM and is available only in Control-M Web. This is true even with compatibility mode being enabled. To get to the new Control-M management area, you will log into Control-M Web, go to the waffle icon, click Configuration. When that loads, you will notice a new configuration home. This will include details for your Control-M server and your Control-M agents, as well as some quick links to other configuration functions, like the Run as Users, which is now available only in Control-M Web. This can also be accessed by going to the Agents on the drop-down menu, and then going to Manage, Run as Users. Similar to the Run as Administration area, for the Control-M server management, we can use a shortcut on the configuration menu here, or we can go to the drop-down menu and go to Control-M servers. Now let's go through some of the new options for Control-M Web server management. On the toolbar here, you can see you can refresh the screen, add a Control-M server, search for a Control-M server. You can disable or enable a Control-M server here. You could pause or resume a Control-M server here. You could change the desired state for a Control-M server. You could change the notification destinations here. And there's some additional links available here. Now let's test out some of those options. To disable, you want to make sure that your Control-M server is selected, and then you click the Disable button. And then you confirm. And the request has been submitted. If we refresh, it is now disabled. And you can see there is now an Enable option. To enable, we click Enable and confirm. And if we refresh, it is now enabled. Now let's try the pause option. Our Control-M server is already selected. We click pause. We confirm the pause. The request has been submitted. We refresh, and it will now show paused and up. And we will also see that the pause option has been renamed to resume. To resume, we will click resume, confirm the resume, and refresh. And now we see that it is showing as resumed. In the More settings, you can now see that there are options for opening to get to the Agents area, the Run as Administration area or host groups. You can also add an agent, agentless host, load balance router. You can access the system parameters for the Control-M server. You can unmanage or manage the Control-M server with this option. And you can delete the Control-M server. Now let's take a better look at the system parameters. Here you can see that all of the system parameters that you would have previously changed in the CCM are available to change here. And let's just take a look at one of those to see what it looks like when you open the menu. You can see you can change a value and save and activate it there. Back to the more options, let's take a look at unmanaging the server. Here we can click Unmanage. Give it a moment to submit. Refresh. And now you will notice that the status has changed. The desired state has changed. And there's also an option to manage now. Let's click Manage. Here, you will confirm the configuration agent port for that server. Click Manage. Give it a moment to submit. Refresh. And the Control-M server is back to its normal state. And one more time, we'll go back to the More menu. We'll go to delete the Control-M server. We will confirm the delete. Give it a moment to submit. Click Refresh. And the Control-M server is no more. You'll also notice there's now an option to add a Control-M server. We will use the automatic. We will enter the Control-M server name. And click Next. And as you can see, it was able to connect and we can now add it. The Control-M server has been added successfully. If we refresh the window, we should now see it. And there we go. With an existing Control-M server, we can also now check details like in the overview, we can see the services, agents, gateway, and database status. Under general properties, we can see EM statistics, synchronization mode, communication, time settings, database information, and services information. You can also now recycle services from this menu. In the communications area, you can also modify the communication settings. Here you can see that you can alter the host, the configuration agent port, and the Control-M EM port. Now let's take a quick look at the Run as User Administration, which is only available in Control-M Web. Let's use the link from the Control-M Web configuration homepage. Here you can see I have a couple of existing Run as users. We have options to add and delete. Let's add a user, see what the options are. Here you would enter the username, the host name, password authentication or key. For the key, you would add the key name. We'll use password authentication for this test. Click Add. Give it a moment. And you can see the new Run as User has been added. Close that out. This concludes my presentation. And now back to you, Drew.
Thank you, Jason, for showing how to make the most of these new features in Control-M Web. Next up, Trinidad will demonstrate our new viewpoints and upgrade encryption. Trinidad, please go ahead.
Thank you, Drew, for that introduction. In my demo, we'll be going over these topics, and the first one we'll go over is the viewpoint enhancement in Control-M Web. So let's go to my lab and take a look at what these enhancements are. But first, I'd like to quickly go over the difference between public viewpoints and private viewpoints. So in previous versions in Control-M Web, the user had the ability to create new viewpoints and save them. And these viewpoints were only available to the user that created the viewpoint. So that would be a private viewpoint. And now in 921.300, we do have public viewpoints that are available to everyone in Control M Web. So now let's go check these out. Here we are in the monitoring domain. And as you can see, there are new viewpoints with the type of public. Here in this column, we can see where it says that. These viewpoints were available in previous versions, but they were only available on the thick client. And now, starting with 21.300, they are available in Control M Web. Let's go ahead and open these up and see how to work with them. So to open the viewpoint, you can just click on the viewpoint name, and if you want to open it as it is, you can just do open, and it'll open up automatically. And this was the all active job, so this pretty much brought up all the jobs from my environment. And now let's check opening the viewpoint with filters. So we go back here, we'll do open with filters after you click on the viewpoint name. It does bring up this window, which is slightly different interface from previous versions. For the filters, we'll be adding an application. Let's go ahead and do test time zone notification. And then for the job status, I want anything that is in a wait status. Now, with these filters that I used, it only took me a few seconds to set this up, so it's not really worth saving it. However, in your environment, you may have a lot of filters. It can get pretty complex. So in that situation, you can save these filters in what's called a filter preset. So we'll click at this button up here where it says filter presets, and then we can hit save. And I'll just name this demo. You can name it whatever you'd like. So now let's see, I'm going to remove everything here. And then now if I want to use a preset, I can do load and then demo, and then automatically it loads in the filters that I had. So if you have a lot of filters in your viewpoint, this is something you can definitely use. So now let's go ahead and open this up. And as you can see, the application is test time zone notification. And the only jobs we see in here are jobs in a wait status. All right, let's go ahead and close this back up, and I'll show you one more way how to open up the viewpoint. Now that I have a preset saved, I can click on the viewpoint name again, and then now there is a extra field called open with presets. And if there are no presets saved, this option does not appear. So if you don't see it, you probably don't have a preset defined yet. But if we select this, this automatically opens the viewpoint with the filter presets that we defined previously. And now let's go over to the configuration tab to show you where the authorizations are for this. So we'll just be looking at the admin role, and then we'll be going to the monitoring domain, and we'll need to scroll down a little bit to get to the public viewpoint management. And this is the authorizations you can use to control the viewpoint management. Now, as far as creating public viewpoints, this is something that can still only be done in the thick client. So if you want to use new public viewpoints in Control M Web, you'll have to go to the thick client and have someone create it. And then after that, it will be available for users. And that concludes the viewpoint enhancements in Control M Web 921.300. And let's go ahead and go back to my presentation. Next up, we're going to talk about the encryption of rollback files after an upgrade. In previous versions, rollback files were placed in the BMC install/uninstall directory. And since these are older versions of Control M, they normally contain vulnerable files. And I'm sure many of you have had your security team reach out to you about these files there. And our recommendation has been to compress these files and archive them. In 921.300, the behavior has changed for these files, so let's go to my lab and take a look at how they look now. All right, so this is my lab. The first thing I want to show is the installed versions.txt file. So you can see here that I initially installed the base version of 921, and then I later performed an upgrade to 921.300. So right now my environment is on the latest FixPack version. So now let's go to the directory where these backup files will be located if we needed to roll back. So we'll go to CD, we'll CD to BMC install/uninstall, and then here we'll CD to the directory that has a backup file. So in that case, that would be this directory. So now my current directory is my home directory, bmc install uninstall drnft 921.300. Let's go ahead and list these files now. So the files I want to point out are the files that have the name underscore encrypted at the end. In previous versions, these files did not have the underscore encrypted in them, and they were just directories, and it was possible to browse into these directories and view the files. And now that these are encrypted, these should not be possible to be found by a security scan. So there should be no vulnerable files found in these uninstalled directories anymore. And then now I just want to show the log file for this. It's pretty short. Let's see, let's go to it real quick. We're gonna cd up one directory to uninstall, cd again to bmc install, and then cd to log. So now my new directory is bmc install /log. And let's go ahead and list the files here. And the file that I wanted to look at, the log file I wanted to look at was the encrypt.log. So let's just cat this really quick. And here it just says that the encryption completed successfully. And that's it for my last demo. Let's go ahead and hand this back to Drew.
Thank you, Trinidad, for showing how these new viewpoints work and the upgrade encryption process. All right, everyone. That concludes our session for today. On behalf of Martin, Jason, Trinidad, and the entire Connect with Control-M team, thank you for spending time with us today. We look forward to you taking advantage of features that we saw today in your environment. Stick around for the Q&A session where we will take your questions. But first, you can learn more about the BMC education course, Control-M Fundamentals Operating, by clicking the link in the links section below, or you can visit the bit.ly link you see on the screen. Your feedback shapes our future webinars. We would appreciate if you will take a moment and answer a few questions for us in the survey that you will receive later today. You can find Control-M on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and YouTube. Links for each can be found in the links section below. You can watch previous webinars on the Control-M channel on YouTube. Today's webinar will be posted there within a couple of days. Let's kick off the Q&A. As a reminder, you can enter your questions on the Ask a Question section at any time.